But we're going to see in the series a little bit of chaos in all of this stuff. VortiX is known to be quite the aggressive player. VortiX is somebody that I want to be when I grow up, and B does just things you just don't expect. You know, he just does a bunch of crazy stuff, and I'm hoping that we're taken aback with some of the stuff. And even the maps, we're taken aback. There's 3 wet maps, but we're going to be starting on Cliffside for this game number 1. Crackety, are you ready to dive in with what might be a all 5 game series? I'm hyping it up. It deserves the hype. B versus VortiX. VortiX playing as the Chinese, spawning the eastern side of the map. B as the Rus in the color yellow. And on Cliffside, 2 civilizations I really like. We're going to probably see pro scouts, Crackety, out of both of them.
Yeah, we might be. Chances are we might be. Man, you say you're ready, I'm ready too. This is gonna be an exciting matchup because, as you said, like he's a very unconventional player. He approaches things a little bit differently, you know. And VortiX, he's a very straightforward guy. You know, you get some weird socks on in public, he's gonna walk up to you and be like, "Man, you got weird socks." And with that same approach, he plays Age of Empires as well. He's gonna walk up to a base and say, "Hey, nice base, I'll take it." Just like that.
Yeah.
Them's the 2 playstyles we got here.
And you know, some of the stuff that B does, obviously, you know, unorthodox is probably the best word you could use for it, but these are series, and when you play against somebody that's unorthodox, right, it shows your ability to adapt, right? Because he's going to make these kinds of changes to the meta that we're currently seeing. If VortiX does get hit with some of those, you know, some of those unorthodox strategies, how is he going to be dealing with it? How is he going to be able to figure it out? So hopefully in this game and this series, we will be able to see that, especially with some of the wild maps that we have on series as well. VortiX doing a very good job. This is something a little bit that we didn't see in past games. VortiX is cutting down all of these deer, so it makes pro scouts a little bit more difficult to micro.
Yeah, you'll only be able to click on the deer once you have them in line of sight, rather on the deer carcasses. Meanwhile, when the deer are still alive, you can click on them while they're outside of your line of sight. Age up is going to be coming in. We are seeing that Imperial Academy. No Imperial official opening here from VortiX, which we do kind of see as like the standard at the moment that has established itself for the Chinese, especially when you go pro scouts.
You know, my question to you about the Chinese, because you're more of a Chinese and sushi expert than I am, as we're seeing the Golden Gate come up. With this IO opening, or lack thereof, I should say, when, like, do you usually go for the IO opening? When do you do it? When do you not?
So there are like, the situation when you would go for the no IO opening is either when you early on start on a huntable resource, like a deer or boar, or when you want to go pro scout, because then you don't go Song Dynasty. Pretty much whenever you don't want to rush up Song Dynasty, you go for the no IO opening.
Okay, I see. So you think for VortiX not going for the IO, and he is on sheep, right? So it's not the deer, it's not the boar that you were talking about. What do you think his plans are with this IO going forward, or with this no IO opening going forward, I should say? Because he probably is going to go pro scout.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4 villagers on gold, so chances are he is going to go for pro scout here, has a lot of villagers on wood. So the build definitely does lean toward the direction of pro scout now. We'll gather the wood now for the stable as well as the upgrade. Just needs a little bit more gold, but he's going to be able to gather up a lot of gold from that mill. And once you start inspiring, scout is getting taken down. Oh, we still have 2 additional scouts, so that's fine. But yeah, Imperial Official is now going to supervise. Pro Scout is coming in.
You know how I'm actually kind of on board with this one, to be honest, because with VortiX, you know, you're not going to get pro scouts till Feudal Age anyway. You might as well wait for Imperial Academy to get built, right? And then you pop out the IO from there. You don't waste a villager production time on something like an IO. So yeah, I really like it. B and VortiX both going up for pro scouts, but Chinese were able to supervise it. So if you blinked, you missed it. Pro scouts already completed.
Stable now coming up. 2 additional scouts coming in for B. Pro Scout, as mentioned, is on his way as well. we are just gonna see a normal, well, how this would never have been considered normal 2 months ago. Nowadays, we see a normal both player just pro scouting.
Yep. The Rus will be matching the Chinese opponent in just about 15 to 20 seconds. Now, with these deer packs that are around, B has one safe to the north and in the back and to the south. It looks like both of these players have those 2 safe deer packs. They're probably going to be doing a little bit of, poking at each other, trying to get each other's deer packs and what have you. But I think as far as, for both these players and their deer spawns, it looks like it's going to be pretty 2-2.
B, he's putting a lot more resource into Pro Scout as well now. 3 additional scouts in queue after he already has 5 out. Yeah, we're gonna have a fierce fight here now for the food income.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, these these scouts, both of them, obviously, you can see they have different colors on. They are opponents of each other. They're basically just leaving each other alone. Little tip of the cap. I'll yoink your deer. Thank you very much. And you go on to do your own thing. Now, VortiX on the other side is going to go for Horsemen to start. Obviously, that mobility is going to help you when you're dealing with scouts of the Roost. But, I've noticed, Crackety, with the Horsemen that are here, I've noticed that it just feels like they don't do the damage.
Yeah, it takes a while. Like, Ghazi Raiders do a lot better when it comes to catching up to scouts and killing them. Horsemen, they only do 9 damage, and there's no bonus damage included into that when you're up against scouts. So it takes, like, a good 10 to 11 hits in order to take a scout down. If you're using a Horseman.
Up! Little yoink! We love it! Oh my god. This is the... This is Age of Empires 4 in 2025, okay? This is Horsemen and Scouts beating each other in the face, yoinking one another. And VortiX just did that successfully. Now, you got to think so. With the Roost, I mean, obviously you're stopping a deer carcass at 350 food, but you're also stopping 35 free gold and a chance for an increase in bounty. So for the Roost, it feels like this matters a lot more, don't you think?
It does until you reach Castle Age, because then suddenly you start generating a lot of deer just passively with your landmark, right? So you're gonna get a lot of value in there. And it looks like A-Job is right around the corner now for B. Has the food that he needs, probably has the tickets as well, in order to exchange for the remaining gold. Then, once you get that landmark in, at least for the early Castle Age Roost, they just got a lot more, they get a lot more value from their landmarks, pretty much.
Yeah, and it was pretty beneficial for B, too, because with this build that he had, he was able to get a decent amount of deer, which is good. I feel like VortiX might have gotten a little bit more, but for B, he went completely naked, and it was, with no horseman, no spearman, it was so naked, I doubt if we can even show it on Twitch, but just doing that means that he's able to get to Castle Age a little bit quicker. However, the Chinese, those villagers, they can build. This might go up at a somewhat similar time.
Yeah, it will be. Maybe even a slight lead now for VortiX if he... well, not quite. It should be roughly around the same time. But never underestimate Chinese build speed. Getting an additional 2 stables in now for VortiX. So it looks like he wants to go really, really heavy into Knights in the Castle Age.
And it's kind of interesting because we know what the Roost likes to do in Castle Age when they start, and it's usually archery ranges and it's usually horse archers. I'm curious to see what B actually queues up. He is going to go with a stable first. He goes 1 stable, 1 archery range. So he's not going for that stereotypical 3 archery range horse archer play. We're seeing even from game 1, 9 minutes into the game, a little bit of unorthodox from him.
Monastery coming in as well, so we'll try and slowly but surely gather up those relics. Monastery also coming in from VortiX. He's going to have to make full use of his tax gold now in order to be able to afford all of these heavy gold investment units that he's going for.
Yeah, because he's not getting the little bit of bounty, that little bit of extra gold that's there. And B, obviously, with the Golden Gate, has the ability to get a little bit more gold if he wants to. Does queue up a knight, has 1 out in the battlefield, has got another one in queue. Going to be going with horse archers, just 1 at a time out of that archery range for now. And now starting to add a second one and that warrior monk, which is so important because you got to scoop up those relics, making sure the Chinese doesn't have the ability. They already have that passive income with taxes. You got to meet them there with the relics.
Yeah, exactly. Cap Archer, first one is coming out. Knight right now, just distracting the Lancers for the most part. Probably also want to look for any potential monks. As it looks there is a monk right now, picking up a relic in the back of VortiX's base. Also getting found out, but lots of HP on that unit. Is going to be able to run quite a bit further down, and the relic gets sniped.
Yeah, we
Some
talked.
Knight
Oh my
rides.
god.
He's actually getting
staying.
back.
He's gonna
Heal?
take it back. He's staying
Is he
alive.
Oh, just barely not able to put the relic inside, but that's what the next warrior monk is there for.
I was gonna say, I mean, with these relics, we talked about the scouts a little bit, and they're a little difficult to find on the map when they're not in the deer pack, so maybe it's a little bit different. But when you're getting those relics, and with these warrior monks, you're gonna talk about field position a little bit if you're an American football fan. Just moving those relics around closer to your side of the base, closer to the monastery, might be worth it. Those warrior monks are quite the expensive unit at 200 gold and 40 food. It'll take a while to, once that relic actually gets dropped off, it ends up paying off.
Yeah, indeed. Cav Archers now starting to pick off a couple of the knights there. Once that Cav Archer number starts to really go up, it's going to be difficult for VortiX to take these engagements. Looks like the monk has been rebuilt for VortiX. It's going to get his first relic in now. Second relic on its way now for B, though. More stables coming up behind as well. So we're going to get a full Cav Archer and Knight composition coming out from him.
Yeah, and I think he probably should have went with that in the first place. You know, with those warrior monks coming in, we talk about why those horse archers are as good as they are. When they're doing this is exactly what they should be doing. These knights or the Chinese, not as quick. You might be able to get a charge on those horse archers. One horse archer might end up going down, but you get a critical mass of these, you're going to be able to kite knights pretty effectively.
Wololo coming out as well. Saint's Blessing on the Cav Archers. A little bit more damage, a little bit of armor. Army value. VortiX has a good lead there, and he's got a lot of knights out on the field right now, actually. You still need to respect that.
Yeah, now
respect it for
like,
sure.
Now it's kind of like, are you going to be able to get enough horse archers to even hit that critical mass? And my response is kind of no. You know, you can see B is doing the best he can in terms of kiting, but with only 4 or 5 horse archers, it's not going to be too much of damage. VortiX is adding an army composition change as well. Oh, VortiX, are you seeing that? Is that a knight?
Oh, he gets it! -1 knight for VortiX and +1 knight for B. Great Wololo there. And definitely value that he needs at the moment. We're now seeing crossbows coming in from VortiX. Cav Archer's gonna be able to do decent against both, though. Both the knights and the crossbows. We just need the sufficient mass, though. Warrior's Fortitude as well, just really, really important to have.
Yeah, especially with these knights, you know? I mean, Warrior's Fortitude, don't get me wrong, with the horse archers, it's pretty good, but having that +25 on those knights means it might negate a charge, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
It might negate a lancer charge, but those lancers getting right in on those horse archers, Crackety, some of them going down. He's trying to kite his way back. There's not enough knights here to be a good front line for B, I feel like.
Yeah, it's looking difficult right now. Some of the knights are low HP, though. So B does potentially have the chance of just picking off a couple there, but so far these traits weren't really the best for B. Granted, though, he managed to take the majority of the relics.
Yeah,
and there's no Song Dynasty in for VortiX at all, so the scaling is pretty even.
Yeah, you kind of thought that, like, the villager count, because of the Song Dynasty, right? Going up and getting that Barbican means those villagers are going to get produced 15 seconds instead of 20, and that really outscales in a big way. For VortiX, not really the case. He's definitely up in terms of army value, though. The military count might end up remaining the same, and there are some warrior monks here that are evening out that military count, but with VortiX and how many knights he has, he better get up on that horse archer, start adding crossbowmen. He's got to do something.
Yeah, it's all a timing question right now. Oh, some Lancers able to pick off villagers there on the berries. That's a lot of idle time. Cav Archers poking at the hornet's nest, it feels like. Still no reaction out to the berries. Those units might go again for another attack. Outposted go up on the berries from VortiX, but is still gonna lose 2 villagers there as well. Both players lost 3 villagers on their respective sides. So even trade outs there so far. A little fight in the middle again. The Cav Archers still not quite there in sufficient numbers. It feels like, and we're up to 50 knights now from VortiX. He's truly sending it.
Yeah,
Little raid as well on the berries again.
Oh no. That's 2 knights going to be able to take down a lot of these villagers. You got to pull some horse archers and a knight to help, but it takes a while for those horse archers to actually take the lancers down. And one of that big problem is the reason why they're taking so long is because VortiX has wedge rivets. He has both of those ranged armor upgrades, and B is getting steeled arrow right now.
Yeah, it feels like we are in desperate need at the moment for Boyer's Fortitude. For B.
Yeah, and especially, like, if you're going, don't get me wrong, Horse Archer and Knight I think is a fantastic combo, but it's really expensive, right? I think you're going to be at a time where a lot of these deer, now we're 15, 16 minutes into the game, a lot of these deer, if they're not gone already, they're probably close to it. B has this boar over here, but I think those villagers might be going down. B's going to have to pull his army and take a fight he might not necessarily want to. Those Horse Archers are getting in on the crossbowmen. B's only got 5 knights, though.
Yeah, like the fight against the crossbows is something that you might want to take, especially with the Cav Archers, similar to how you want to fight with archers against crossbowmen. It's difficult, though, when you still have those knights at the front side. Saint's Blessing, though, coming in. Outpost doing damage as well behind this, and this is actually not a bad fight for B right here.
Yeah, that Saint's Blessing really cutting through some of those lancers. You can see how many volleys it kind of takes, right? There's about 2.5, I would say, volleys, and those crossbowmen are going to be able to pepper in a little bit of damage as well. So overall, not this end-all be-all fight that we might have expected, but B still hasn't cleared this army away from the wooden fortress. I think he's going to lose Vils here.
Yeah, Villager is jumping out, trying to repair. Jumping back in again, and out again, trying to get the repair in. VortiX is getting the kills. Behind that, though, good trade out. And now B's running. He is running, and he cleared up most of the crossbows, actually, behind this.
Yeah, for B, this was fantastic. All of those crossbowmen are gone, which means those lancers have to actually get in to those horse archers to do any kind of damage. B did lose a decent amount of villagers, but remember, with the golden gate that's there, might there be a potential for a second town center? We see Roos like to do that a little bit later in the game.
Yeah, at the same time, B also managed to still kill a couple of villagers over on VortiX's side, so it's not quite as disparaging of a difference, but there is a difference in the eco count, for sure. Still some more raids coming in as well. So this isn't quite over yet. Yeah, more villagers going down. If he's able to potentially almost equalize here. Hey, maybe he's equalizing. VortiX, has he not noticed yet? The invisible horseman strike again. Now he's noticed. Villagers pulling away, but this, all of the advantage that VortiX managed to get there is suddenly gone up in smokes.
You know, Crackety, VortiX was sending 1 crossbowman in at a time. You know, there were 2 knights and 4 horse archers there. Having those, you know, just sending 1 or 2 crossbowmen is not the answer. You know, you probably wanted a little bit of a heavy hitter kind of unit. These crossbowmen are continuing to get caught in harm's way by the horse archers, tracking them down. All of a sudden, we've got a giant swing for B's favor. Only 6 crossbowmen, 3 lancers for the Chinese, and B is still pumping.
Yeah, pretty even villager kills here, but one player has Cav Archers, easy to remass into. The other player made knights and crossbows, a very expensive composition to stay in, and especially remass. B, he's spending mostly wood and food, which, granted, he can get an infinite amount out of his landmark itself. Meanwhile, VortiX, his gold mine has expired. He has to move out to another gold vein.
Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing how important that high trade house is. I mean, obviously, B does have 4 relics, and that's going to help you. He's had sacred sites for a majority of this game. High trade house, adding $150. And that's why people, you know, you see some people going Abbey of the Trinity, or they're talking about it. The high trade house just hands you, with this 150, hands you almost 2 relics as soon as you build the building. You don't have to make warrior monks. You don't got to go get them. You don't got to whatever. So doing that high trade house means It's very good for that passive gold income, plus with the 4 relics helping him out. And it just means because of how many units that he's making that don't cost gold, he doesn't need that many villagers on gold. So you could use them on wood, you could use them on food to make sure he gets enough horse archers. But that food is continuing to get raided, Krakeny. This is huge. B doesn't notice it. Oh my god.
He's smelling villagers, and he's getting so many kills there. He's distracted at the front line. Oh my god, there's so many villagers that went down. Has he noticed yet?
I'm kind of wondering if there was a disconnect. His horse archers aren't moving.
It might
be. Moving.
It might be a disconnect there. Legitimately. He's not reacting at all.
Villagers aren't getting produced.
Oh
yeah,
no, he disconnected. No way. Oh my god.
Like, he wasn't even making villagers.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
Yeah, I was wondering when the cav archers in front of the outpost just didn't move. Like, he was in such a great position. Oh my god. That is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate.
We'll have to kind of take it through, because I don't know if this was... Is this something that I'm going to have to get word from our back end, our admin and producer here. I don't know if this is this a remake or is this kind of set?
It is a difficult decision either way, pretty much, right? Like, because, yeah, okay, we are gonna get the confirmation. It is unfortunate, but the point is gonna be awarded to VortiX. It's a very difficult decision to make, but the game, we're after the 20-minute mark. There's not gonna be a remake there.
Yeah, so
we're not quite there yet. The technology isn't quite there yet for us to get the remake in. Like the restore feature.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, you're going to see a little bit of the beginning of this game as that Warrior Monk was able to get that relic somewhere close. VortiX was going for these Lancers and these crossbowmen to try to take down the Knights, and he wanted the Lancers to be enough of a force. What do you think here, instead of the Lancers going here, because obviously they're quite a expensive unit, what do you think about just doing horsemen? Like, what about instead of those 16 to 17 Lancers, you probably could get about 30 horsemen instead. Crossbowmen end up taking down the Knights. I think that would have been a better comp for him, don't you think?
I would agree for most part. I think overall, like, the composition is fine. It's just like how it played out in the end was mostly just the army positioning. VortiX, he was a little bit too focused on getting those villagers inside of the wooden fortress to take them down. He left his crossbows alone against the cavalry archers. And I might think that, okay, crossbows should be doing fine against cavalry archers as a ranged unit. Not quite so much, because the cav archers they tank quite a bit, and the base damage is very high, so they can trade out quite fine against the crossbows.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, a little bit is on base damage, of course. And then there's mobility. There's the attack speed, right? The crossbowmen take a while. They gotta load up that crossbowman, that crossbow, I should say, pull up that bolt before it actually ends up firing. So horse archers end up being pretty good. I mean, if you're making something like crossbowmen that we just described, or men-at-arms, or I'm gonna throw knights into that equation just because of the speed of the knights, I think it's tough. Those are units that you really don't want to throw out. Even spearmen, too, against horse archers, just because of the sheer mobility of that. But game number 1 goes to VortiX, as B, 21 minutes into the game, had a disconnect. So let's see. Is he going to be able to? Because that hurts your momentum, man. Because you think you were, you were probably in a position where obviously you thought you weren't out of the game or he would have surrendered, right? So definitely, it felt like he was still in the game. He's got to lick his chops and get ready for game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it is awkward, right? Like, it takes the wind out of your sails, but Beastie is going to have to just catch himself there. He's going to have to catch himself there and still continue on. You never know. Maybe with the next DLC, we're getting a restore feature finally. It definitely is desperately wanted and needed. We've been calling for that one for years now at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean...
yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, right? Like, it also doesn't make sense to punish the player that didn't crash when a crash occurs, and... yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Right. No, I mean... It's just one of those things that you don't want to happen, right? Obviously, we didn't want... That was going to be a crazy game. I think both players could have been set up to try to take the game depending on what they were trying to do or what they wanted to do. I think both of them were definitely in a position where a win could have happened, but it's a lot. It's a long time, and it ended up being a disconnect 21 minutes in. So game number 2 that we're going to see is going to be starting in a minute and a half. We're going to see Baldland. We're going to see the French for VortiX and the Delhi as B. Now, I remember B like a long time. I want to say a long time ago, you know, whatever. B was pretty good on the Delhi side. Do you remember that too?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Delhi overall is just really, really good as a civilization baseline. And B, definitely a great player when it comes to using them. VortiX, likewise, also very, very good on the Delhi. But you know what else the Spaniards are good on? It's the French. And French is also a not bad answer for when you're up against Delhi. You get the Knights in, so you got a great tool up against the Ghazi Raider, up against archers. And Knight archers from the French, definitely not a bad army composition to have, and gives you the ability to contest those sacred sites early on.
You know, I'm curious on your opinion because you're talking about Knights Archers. I remember a while ago during this matchup when it was more popular. I feel like most people don't play French on the ladder anymore, especially at that higher end of it. The 1-1-1 composition, adding some spearmen in there. You know there's going to be Ghazi. You know, maybe a little bit, you know, obviously those Royal Knights do pretty good, but those spearmen can really give you some DPS at a time when you have that big engagement.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm catching up with the chat here as well, as we're having a heated discussion in there, but we are about to jump into our next game. So looking forward, that's what we got to do right now, is we're jumping into our game number 2 now, between B and VortiX here on Baldland. So we're gonna see exactly how this one is gonna go. So we got the Delhi up against the French here. 2 sacred sites in the middle, relatively close to each other. So 1 point to contest in the mid-map. The question is, who is going to be able to take control over the sacred sites?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you're playing as the Delhi Sultanate, right? You don't have those points of interest scattered all over the map, right? Those 2 sacred sites are just kind of firmly in the middle. And I think we've probably seen throughout the qualifiers and some of the stages earlier, you probably had some sacred site victories that could be achieved because you got to go out in the middle of this map if you want to contest, especially later into the game. You could see the way this map is designed, right? You have these deer packs that are in the middle of the map, professional scouts probably coming out for both players, and those wood lines are all the way out there.
Yeah, wood lines. This is also one of those maps there, when you look at the minimap and you see like how those wood lines form, you just want to put a high trade house or a hunting cabin in there. If you're Roos. Not that we get Roos here, but you know what I mean, right? Like, you want to put a hunting cabin in that one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as somebody who does like to play Roos, you look at these wood lines and you're just thinking about, oh, look at that spot. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Nestled in that forest? Imagine hunting deer in that forest. And that one, oh my God.
So nice and cozy.
We're going to see both these players going up very shortly. VortiX going with the School of Cavalry per usual. Obviously, we're not going to see any shenanigans with the Chamber of Commerce because take a look at where these trading posts actually are. Crackety. It doesn't seem very advantageous until the game gets a little bit later. Then you start to skew kind of your borders almost.
Yeah, I mean, trade isn't really too feasible, right? Because when you trade, you're pretty much trading right next to your opponent's base, almost. It feels like, depending on which market you go for. So it's going to be very tough to defend that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm probably not going to see it, and we aren't going to see it in this game, but going to be going up with the Dome of the Faith, obviously. Continues to be stereotypical. I remember, you know, this matchup being not necessarily in this season. Now professional scouts kind of plays in the mix of it, but I remember this was more of a kind of 50-50. Maybe Delhi was a little bit better because their ability to pump out feudal units. What do you think in a vacuum for two of these civilizations?
Difficult to say. I feel like French usually has like a pretty decent time up against Delhi at the very high level. Like if you're able to just get a lot of knights out, you're able to keep them alive, fill them up with chivalry if need be. If you're able to do that, get a lot of your own infantry, like archer reinforcements out as well. I feel like Knight Archer definitely beats Ghazi and Archer. The question then becomes if your opponent also adds in Spearmen, and then you get like triple composition. It's very tough to call baseline. The thing is as well that Delhi also has a healing ability in, and the Ghazi Raider are insanely well, as the name implies, insanely good as the name implies at raiding. Lots of movement speed, more base damage than normal horsemen. You have to be really, really careful up against them when it comes to expanding your economy out onto stuff like deer and whatnot. But Pro Scouts is coming in for VortiX, so he's gonna have a way of answering that.
Yeah, I think you obviously need to. You know, when you're dealing with raiders on the other side, you know your opponent is going to go professional scouts. Obviously, you are going to want to do that. So VortiX with these knights, when B does go for Ghazis, hopefully you have enough knights to stop those Ghazis from taking down your own scouts, because you are going to be the first one to pro scouts. You're going to be able to use that school of cavalry to get a couple scouts that you need and not waste any kind of villager gathering time. So hopefully B is paying more attention to what's going on in his base than what's going outside for these deer packs. That one knight could make a difference.
Yeah, 100%. Ghazi Raiders now coming in for B as well. Looks like we do have Pro Scouts being focused for him on his 1 mil. So he's trying to get that in slowly but surely, as Pro Scouts has just finished for VortiX. Ghazi Raiders up there as well. And because VortiX is now investing into scouts, he's not going to be getting that many knights out, which means that if we get to, like, say, 2, 3 Ghazi Raiders, they're going to be able to pick off that knight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing of it is that that knight can't run away, right? I mean, obviously, you can get a little bit of a charge, but the Ghazis are always going to be faster, right? So as long as if you get that knight basically back to your hometown center is the only way it's going to be safe. So VortiX is going to have to preserve what kind of health he has on those knights, and B is just going to go full steam ahead on those Ghazis because he knows he can make more Ghazis than VortiX can pump out knights because of that efficient production.
Yeah, exactly. And once you're able to get like 6, 7 Ghazi Raiders out, you're also going to be able to pinch the knights where they can't move out anymore. And once they're out of position once, if you're able to get the surround on them, you're going to be able to take them down.
Yeah, and that's a lot of resources that hit the deck. That's for sure. These two Ghazis aren't going to be able to do enough about multiple of these knights. Now they got to get all of them together. He's got 6 total. Hopefully they can get all of them together and maybe do some damage towards some of these knights. But just trying to make sure that at least there are some deer packs that he's able to get, because he definitely went for this pro scout strategy, right? That was the goal. So if your opponent already scooped up a lot of the deer, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, I mean, VortiX is getting in a lot of the deer. Pro Scout still hasn't quite finished up yet for B. Wait, what is that one scout doing? He's taking the deer and putting it somewhere else? One scout towards the total. Yeah, he's putting it back. He's putting it back.
Yeah, that's not... Hey, that's not yours. You put that down. Okay, or just... Hello? take it somewhere not there. Like, anywhere near your base could be effective. B, trying to get some of these sacred sites, right? Some of these scholars are going to be able to hit that Royal Knight charge. They're going to be able to heal themselves just a little bit. These Ghazi Raiders are coming in swarming around those knights to do some damage. Now, remember, as that scout continues to trail with that deer into the nether region, I guess, these Ghazi Raiders, not only are they keeping up, Crackety, but you talk about their 12 base damage. They do an extra 2 to heavy, and those knights count.
They do indeed, so able to do a good amount of damage overall to them. Spearman now coming in for VortiX though, so the Ghazi Raiders will have to respect that, be answering that with his own Spearman behind it. We're not actually getting that many scholars in at the moment. There's only 3 scholars out at the moment for B.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sanctity is completed, so he's trying to capture those sacred sites, but you're going to want some other technologies out of that Dome of the Faith. I don't think he had villagers on gold for a little bit of time. Maybe he expected the sacred sites to get captured, so it's going to be a little difficult. I really like the spearman play out of both of them, and I think it's going to transition both of them into starting to get archers. So maybe this is a longer feudal game, and those are ones I love to see.
Yeah, knights now moving out. Those spearmen don't have hardened upgrade on them, right? Like, these are still Dark Age spearmen from the belly.
Yeah, they're just normal ones. You can see that they usually have a gray shirt on for the second age. That's how I've been able to distinguish them. But those knights are still going to run away from it. I mean, obviously those Dark Age, yeah, there you go. Those Dark Age spearmen still have a little bit of bonus, but you're right, it definitely doesn't pack the punch. And now these spearmen are just trying to make sure that nothing of the French side gets raided because, again, that villager gathering, or production speed, I should say, is keeping VortiX in the lead.
It looks like the scholars are now moving out towards the sacred sites. He is also trying to look for a raid. Most of the spearmen now walking towards the middle, though, alongside those knights, so maybe now is the time for B to find a raid. Yeah, there aren't that many spearmen remaining. He's gonna be able to clean up the spearmen here at the front side. Maybe get a villager kill as well. Nah, isn't quite able to get the villager kill, but spearmen cleanup definitely achieved something there. Will also mean that because VortiX had to pull the knights back, sacred sites will get captured up.
Yeah, this was a really heads-up play by B because it made VortiX have to do one or the other. You either save your gold villagers or you take a battle on the sacred sites. He couldn't do both because if he split them up, it would have been devastating. But B is starting to ramp up, or continue to ramp up, I should say, in that military production. That army value for B, even though it's just Ghazis and spears, are starting to outvalue how many knights VortiX has out.
Right on the wood line. VortiX immediate reaction though. Archer range also gets spotted out, so VortiX is going to be the first one with the transition into archers next up. Only a little bit of idle time cost, but next up we're also going to be seeing VortiX with a good bunch of Royal Knights. Looking to maybe get some raids going, and looks like raids he will get as there are 3 villagers on the berries. Reaction comes in from B, but against those knights it is just, like, no matter how quick you react, it just doesn't feel like it's quite enough. Same time, Ghazi Raiders are trading out against some spearmen as well as a knight. Able to take those down, but behind this, don't forget, VortiX, he is playing as the French. So he will get a villager lead one way or another. And more raids coming in. Spearman in position though.
I think those spearmen are going to end up going down if he wants to take this fight. He actually splits up a couple knights over there on the northern side to continue to idle all of those villagers. You know, every kill that VortiX gets on B feels so much more devastating because of the fact that VortiX already started with more.
Yeah. Behind this, though, some raids coming in from B as well, and on top of that, B has collected both of the sacred sites, has captured them both up. So he is getting a lot of passive income here from those sacred sites. VortiX at the same time, he's just itching for these little raids every now and then. He's got so many knights there as well that really, like, you need to respect the amount that he has got out there. I would love to see just some little walls on the sacred sites from B. At this point, it might be a little bit too late because now there's going to be archers pushing forward. But just some little walls that would allow him to move away from the spearmen with the spearmen a little bit more.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, for the Delhi, that's one of their perks, right? Their foot soldiers can build those palisade walls. If you get compounded defender, they can build stone walls in Castle Age, but just because VortiX can't do this kind of sneaky decap, right? He can't just put one knight over there and start chasing around with knights. He'd have to burn down a wall, which takes a lot of time. It would give B an ability to react to it. So that's one sacred site definitely going to go back into neutralization.
And behind this, B now also switching into some archers. So both players going for that 1-1-1 type composition. And look at that, one Ghazi Raider. He did a little twirl there. The Spearman said, nice, I'm gonna go after that one. He's gonna get the attention. That's gonna cost some idle times on the wood line again. Ghazis. Oh, they're not quite getting the kill there. Too many Spearmen charging after them.
And, you know, don't get me wrong, the raiding force and the raiding potential that the Ghazis have are great, but with that little bit of, you know, lack of armor So I don't think they come with any melee armor. So if villagers get around and get some shiv on it, especially with 20 vills by that wood line, that makes a difference. But now with these spearmen, to be able to take down 1 or 2 Ghazis just to make sure. But all these villagers could definitely shiv a group of Ghazis at the cost of maybe 1 villager.
He's getting a crazy amount of scholars out now behind all of this, up to 12 now. If there's Castle Age coming in, and it looks like he is planning for it, he's gonna get all the upgrades.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be super quick in order to do that. Now, when you're the Delhi and you do hit Castle Age, you're probably thinking more so for Castle Age units, right, Crackety? Like, you're gonna want crossbowmen, you're gonna want knights of your own.
Yeah, those are some options there. Knight is gonna find some villagers. We do probably have textiles in, right? That looks like textiles, right? Wait, little charge through. Where are they going? There's an outpost right there. There's a spearman too. Are the villagers still alive? Okay.
Oh God.
Oh, that's he made him angry.
Oh jeez. It's like when you kill one bee and the whole hive comes out. You know, very accurately proposed as an analogy because of who we're dealing with. But VortiX did a very good job of balancing out his army composition. And honestly, I mean, with the heal or otherwise, do you think VortiX looks good in a straight-up engagement? Because he's starting to think so.
Ooh, yeah, definitely looks like he's thinking so. He's got the resource to age up now. But I feel like as soon as the age up comes in, VortiX is going to look for a fight. And there's still some time that B is going to take in order to get the upgrades in.
Yeah, I mean,
it's coming in.
It does take a little bit of time, and it's going to take time to actually pump out those Castle Age units in the interim as well. So with a little bit of raiding from those Ghazis, it looks like they will end up going down. But House of Learning is going to get built and completed right next to that starting town center. Oh, God.
Oh,
he's just got
a little bit out of position, a little bit out of position, big out of position potentially if the archers are coming in. Oh my God, the charge comes through. No brace. So many spearmen are going down. He needs to be so careful now, so careful. Because if those units get through, his food economy on the berries is going to be in jeopardy. That might just be what's coming in now. Army value almost 2-1 now. These knights just carrying the military from what he's got 20 of them. Age up about to finish. Scholars trying to out-heal. There's no military left. There is no military left from B. It's all scholars. He's got nothing left. He's got the age up, but that's about it.
Oh my God. These scholars are just shouting prayers in the air, and there is no deity that is going to answer you. Scholars, you will be going down. House of Learning is done, but look at every single look at all these villagers from B. They're not doing anything. They're just standing there.
They're like, oh man, not my house. How am I gonna pay the mortgage? Yeah, it's GG.
Yeah, that was, I mean, you're going up against the Delhi Sultanate. That is timing to a T of what you want to do. As soon as they hit that Castle Age button, boom, you go right in there. You're going to be dealing with all of those Feudal Age units, and he spent 1,800 resources on that fancy library. So all of those knights, all of those spears and archers end up becoming victorious 2-0 for VortiX. And look at those resources. I think those pro scouts played a big deal in it. What'd you think?
Yeah, not just that. I mean, both players also like going for the raids and whatnot, but the eco killed from VortiX and the way that he's just able to keep his own villagers alive. The pro scouts definitely making sure VortiX doesn't have to move out onto the map at all. He can safely sit inside of his base, have his spearmen protect all of his units up against raids. And man, yeah, VortiX able to win this one now with the French. It was that great timing, right? Like, suddenly you run in when your opponent just doesn't have that many units remaining. The army was out of position as well. And when 20 Royal Knights with a lot of archers and spearmen just flood and run over your units and you've got nothing left, there's not really a light at the end of the tunnel there. No, there absolutely isn't. And don't get me wrong, these spears, exactly what you're seeing here on the eastern side in that corner, absolutely in the incorrect position. They're trying to bail out, but they get hit by a charge
which was also devastating. To be honest, I think whether they weren't charged at or otherwise, I think they would have went down, because just once you get enough knights like this, it's this just death ball hurling towards your base, and especially with all of the armor that those knights have, with how many they are, they could just sit under that base, feudal age or otherwise.
Yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate, right? But that is just how tight the timing is. Like, B, he was sitting on those resources that he needed for age up for a good 30 seconds before he actually clicked it. If you just click the age up those 30 seconds earlier and then you just run, you got so many scholars, you're able to get the upgrades in very quickly. As well, on top of all of that, you also have efficient production, which further boosts the rate of the upgrades when they come in. You would be able to get veterancy in less than a minute. If you're just able to bide your time a little bit more, even if you have to idle out a little bit of the economy, have the villagers just run for a little bit, or just gather wood instead of anything else, you would still be in a better spot there. But VortiX, he smelled that there was blood in the water. He pushed in at the exactly correct time there. Yeah, Spearman out of position, and once you're losing all of your spearmen and there's still 20 knights remaining, it's not much that he can do.
Yeah, I mean, even with that minute, or maybe a little bit under a minute, getting those castle age techs, with B getting that and actually clicking those buttons, it ended up being probably the longest minute of his life, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just about trying to stabilize and be there and try not to lose everything, but lose everything he did. So game number 3. We're going to start to get wet now. We got 3 water maps that are going to round out this series. If we see all of them, that remains to be seen. But the one we are going to be seeing is Lakeside, Order of the Dragon versus English. I think that's going to be a very nice game. Let's take a look at predictions of what we have here. Let's take a close look at what Crackety was looking for. It looks like Kiljardy, he thought he was going to get a win over the Tuna. So did I. Not so fast, my friend. Able to take that one down. Beastie did get the win over Demu, but it ended up being a 3-1 score. VortiX and B obviously remains to be seen, but everybody for the last series is thinking about Anatan. Crackety, do you like your pick still?
Ooh, I mean, I'm looking at the hairline from Anatan. I just got like that hairline just screams confidence in my direction. You know, the slick back hair, this guy, it's not like he wants to sell me a car, he will sell me a car. It's not even a question. Yeah.
And you know, honestly, Crackety, whether it's a lemon or otherwise, I'm paying him. I'm getting the checkbook out. You know, like there's nothing to do. He has that presence of mind to slick back his hair and be like, hey, I'm in my early 20s and I have this hairline that shows I'm in the early 20s. So what are you going to say about it? VortiX right next to him, obviously displeased by that. But he does have a 2-0 lead over B going into this one. So he'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Match point at the moment now for VortiX. We're going to see Order of the Dragon up against English. It's going to be an interesting one, especially on Lakeside. We've seen Order of the Dragon on Lakeside just pull out so much military force and really be a force to be reckoned with. English, though, they got the tools. They got the infantry special, so to say. Your opponent makes those crossbows, those gilded crossbows, 6 tiles of range. Ha! 6 tiles. My longbows have 7. It's as simple as that. It's just math. It's just math.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think your math definitely checks out. And those crossbowmen being of the gilded variety, they're obviously going to take down an English men-at-arms pretty quickly, but let's not sleep on the gilded archers of Order of the Dragon. Remember, they have that special technology in Castle Age, +3 ranged armor. They can go toe-to-toe with longbowmen and tell the tale at the end of in the tavern.
Yeah, they're pretty tanky boys, having the same pierce armor as horsemen. You wouldn't believe it, but they can be quite tanky. They can be incredibly tanky, incredibly dangerous as well, but they cost a lot of wood, 100 wood for every single one of them. It hurts. If you lose your mass once, it feels like you're never going to get it up again. It's a dangerous situation to be in, that's for sure. Are we going to be seeing how exactly it's going to get played out on Lakeside? Typically a map where sacred sites are a very realistic win condition.
Yeah, I kind of, it makes me feel like Baldland would be a little bit more of a sacred site kind of thing too, because of those 2 sacred sites that are near the middle. But with Lakeside, just because that part of the map feels more condensed, That's the only way that you have to go, barring 5 transport ships. That's the way you have to go to be offensive against your opponent anyway. So you just end up taking the sacred sites behind it. So I could definitely see it. And a lot of defenses around the backside. So I'm curious to see not only who gets those sacred sites first, but who can use the water to their advantage or disadvantage. One deep water fish is on both sides. And Crackety, that's just whenever there's water on the map, that's the thing that matters. And even with one deep water fish, still matters.
It is. People, they see one deep sea fish and they're going to be like, oh my god, I gotta get that. That's mine. It's definitely worthwhile because deep sea fish also regenerate. So it's infinite food. It's the infinite food glitch pretty much in Age of Empires 4. You put a couple of fishing ships up there and they're gonna generate food until the rest of the game. All right, the timer has reached 0. I believe it is time for us to jump into game number 3 between B and VortiX. About to say V and VortiX, but here we go, everyone. Game number 3, potential match point now for VortiX. We're here on Lakeside. We see B spawning in the color yellow, playing as the English on the other hand side, spawning in the color red, playing as the Order of the Dragon. Got VortiX here. Both players going for that early dock, as is tradition on Lakeside. We see water, we take water.
Yep, absolutely. And we've seen some shenanigans on Lakeside as well, where there's, you know, transport ships going in the different directions and, you know, some naval battles, some naval arrow slits get played by civilizations that aren't Japan either. I've seen that just a couple times while casting this map. So there's definitely an area for shenanigans. And if we're talking about players that like to do shenanigans, we got to look at the English player again. This is something that we talked about throughout the duration of this series. He has the potential to have unorthodox gameplay, but you're going up against a player who is largely considered feared on the naval side of this game. VortiX and Lucifron, his brother, are both players that you really don't want to go up against on water.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think Lucifron in one of his streams said that he lives very close to the sea. So, you know, both players not just familiar in Age of Empires 4 with the water, but in real life as well.
And that's just devastating. Using your IRL experience, right, in game, you can't beat it. That's a level that no resources will be able to do for you. So with both of these sides, I know that you thought that Order of the Dragon was an underrated civ, right? You enjoy using Order of the Dragon, and I 100% agree with you. This civ, even though, you know, it is the child civ of HRE, do you feel like it plays a little differently than HRE just because of the difference in the units?
Yeah, I think God of the Dragon just plays completely different for the most part. Like, you don't just want to be that civilization that goes for the Castle Age rush. You have to, like, HRE, they mass up units, so it's like mass over quality. With the Order of the Dragon, it's the other way around. You just need a lot of units, so you're able to get to that big death ball. And once you're there, okay.
My God!
Once you're there, you're able to absolutely overrun. But yeah, that was a close one.
Imagine giving a civ like Order of the Dragon 20 sheep. Here you go, bud.
Yeah, we'll see it, man. You'll need it.
Oh my God! Now, even with both of these players obviously on the water and going for their deep water fish, do you think professional scouts plays a role?
Depends, I want to say. Like, if VortiX early on gets defeated on water, I would say sure. Just go for the professional scouts, because there are a ton of deer towards the edge of the map. He is going to have that free king, so he's going to have some tools to deny that. But it is definitely a great food source. I don't think the English are going to go for it, but Order of the Dragon definitely could.
Yeah, you know, the only reason why I'm thinking it is because of how expensive these units are. You know, we talked about it. For Order of the Dragon, especially in Feudal Age, you want to get a spearman, how much food that costs. You want to get a horseman, 200 food. You got 200 food just laying around. You're going to need every bit, every morsel that you can get to get a decent amount of those.
Yeah. Very, very expensive there. 200 food per horseman, 120 per spearman. Those guys, they're gonna eat a hole inside of your food bank.
Yeah, they're gluttons, let me tell you, for how much they gobble up. So now both these players will be hitting field age at just about the same time. B getting his king coronating for free, as he does, as the English. VortiX taking his first sights onto the water, adding a springled ship. Now, for Order of the Dragon, these boats aren't gilded, but, you know, with the wood economy that they have, especially with VortiX going for the Aachen Chapel, you could definitely pack a punch here.
They're not gilded, but they're guilty of being ordinary ships.
Nailed it. Nice.
Speaking of ships, though, we're not getting any from B. Is he just gonna try and rush to Castle Age? Like, he's not investing anything into water at all right now. And there's even a second dock from VortiX. Like, he thought that they were gonna have, like, a big water fight here.
And, you know, VortiX is going to go over with his springled ship. It's probably good that he didn't queue anything, right? Couldn't queue any other ships, but he's going to go, oh my God, he's got an archer ship too, but he's going to go over there and be like, where the hell is everybody? He's not going to see any kind of navy. He's going to notice, hopefully, if he's practiced on this map, he's going to notice that something might be happening on land.
I brought my floaters. Where's the party at?
Oh, man. Yeah, these boats are just going to sit in the dock. Maybe they could do a little bit on the shoreline fish, but otherwise that food is pretty much null and void. The VortiX has nothing on the land while B has his king. So maybe he can set some initiative on land, start to get some of these sacred
getting an
sites.
outpost on the wood line from VortiX. And the scout is down. VortiX doesn't see this.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is sneaky.
This is so annoying.
It's about to be.
Yeah, with this tower going up. I mean, we talk about the Mongol tower rushes a lot, right? But the English in that tower going up, it's even that much better because of the fact that you get that network of castles right there.
Yeah, be behind this. He is going to be very close to aging up soon. Question is, oh, he's going to see the outpost. That outpost, does he spot it? King's on his way, though. Villagers are getting pulled, but the king's on his way. King, he's on his way. King's on his way. The king. There he is.
He just had to adjust his crown a little bit. Get a good charge, get a good hit on one of these villagers. Now that outpost might be going down.
Oh my God, it's going down. That was so quick. You know,
that was super short-lived.
Round two.
Oh my God, another one.
I mean, he's idling out a little villagers. Like, at this point in time, the outpost paid for itself, right? Like, with that much idle time.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, he only has 2 or 3 villagers doing it, and he has to do his micro to make sure none of these villagers actually end up going down. We'll see if this... Oh my God, that outpost is, like, holding on by a couple twigs, dude.
Yeah, it's not looking that great for it. Oh my God, it's gonna go down again. It's gonna go down. He's got another one. Another one, he says. You think I'm joking around with this outpost? No, it's gonna go up whether you want it to or not.
And you know what the crazy thing is too, because like that king took a lot of hits on Order of the Dragon villagers, right? Look at what B is starting to make. Well, he just made 1 longbow, and I'm not sure if he's going to continue to make more, but he does see gilded archers out of VortiX. You are not getting that outpost up with a gilded archer right there.
Yeah, we did have a white tower coming up. Villagers moving out to stone. Looks like he really wanted to get that outpost up, right? Like, he really wanted to.
He's not canceling it.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
leaving
the king's now in Castle Age. We're getting a knight in. VortiX, he's soon going to be able to age up as well. Just needs a little bit more gold. Force drop off, and we are going to get the Ragnar's Cathedral from B.
It's
from
kinda nice
VortiX.
It's kind of nice with that Regnance because you have 1 relic that's automatically safe, like all the way in the back. And of course, VortiX 1 water, so you don't have to worry about transports or anything like that. So guaranteed 1 relic, which is going to be helpful. Now you just have to break out of what's going on around the map. I mean, you're dealing with some some knights here from the English, and you're dealing with the king, but that's pretty much it.
Outpost getting repositioned slightly. Not sure if this is gonna be in time though. King now with a lot more HP, a little bit more armor. Oh, he's gotta be so careful though, because VortiX, he knows all about this. In theory, I think he could even position himself in the woodline to get that villager kill.
Yeah, using that gate is so clutch. Look at this, another tower. There's 2 of them. I haven't seen a tower built except for maybe a nanosecond. VortiX now gonna hit Castle Age and going with Crossbowman because he sees those knights. And I think B is in trouble.
Yeah, B is starting to get some relics in though. Or even starts capturing the sacred site first. Wants to get that timer going. That's tough when you're up against the Out of Dragon. Like, their economy is just baseline. Really good. Really, really good. We're getting some Gilded Knights as well. Just looking at the army count, granted, 6 of it is in ships, but VortiX, he's messed up a good amount of units. Now an outpost coming up. I think that's still in line of sight, the outpost from VortiX.
Yeah, because those Order of the Dragon vision, as you can see, oh yeah. That Order of the Dragon outpost, most of their, well actually, all of their outposts, oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
You're going to be able to see everything. Oh my god. Now, with VortiX now, because he's Order of the Dragon, look at all of his villagers. They're all still getting inspired by the Akka Chapel. Oh yeah, that villager.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gilded Knight out the front side, another one in Q. Crossbows now also coming in from B. But these Gilded Crossbows, oh my god, just 2 chunked out a lot of HP there from that king. You have to be so careful when you're up against those.
You know, my god, do they pack a punch, right? Those crossbowmen with the 16 base damage, 18 bonus onto the heavy. Those knights don't have a shot. They gotta run away, especially with those Gilded Knights, those tanky. Oh my god, they're just so firm. And they're 400 health. If he gets that. Oh.
Getting a little bit of a double wall low.
I think both of these prelates are going to go down.
Yeah, both are going to go down. But he brings his monk a good bit further back. Is he gonna? Yeah, he's gonna get away.
And look at these crossbow bolts of the English against that Order of the Dragon Knight. He gets hit with a bolt. He just takes it out of his body and throws it on the ground. He just took about 10 different crossbowman shots. It didn't matter. And as long as they stay alive, you have the prelates that you're going to be able to heal it. And healing something like that, that's so expensive.
Look at that. Doc from VortiX on the pond.
Uh-oh.
Is starting to take his fish now as well.
I mean, taking the fish is obviously a good idea, but you could do some cheeky plays around the back, right? I don't know if he knows that there's a dock over there. And if he doesn't, you might be able to put a military production building down there and start getting cheeky with it.
We do have a transport ship, nothing inside though, but I do think there is a Gilded Knight about to jump in. 2 of them even.
Oh,
3
no.
maybe. One of them weak,
3
but
of these?
you know, they're hard workers.
And take a look at what take a look at B's where his army actually is right now. I'm not sure if it's in his base or otherwise. If it is in his base, it's going to be very useful, but most of the units that he has are trying to keep this map control, trying to keep the sacred sites. So 3 unattested Gilded Knights. I don't care if it's an English town center. I don't care what town center it is, or the White Tower. He's still going to be able to pick off some.
Yeah, he's going to have to be really, really careful now. I think in theory he could start moving out a little bit towards the middle of the map. Oh, there is a wall trying to come in backside, but the Knights, they're in. They're going to find some time. Oh my god, it's 3 villagers. B, he pulled too many villagers for that. He's going to lose all of them.
That is just rough. You know, all of these. Oh, and these berries. He's on berries. He's English, and he's on berries.
Has the map control for the deer in theory. Yeah, Knights now causing idle time. Gonna have to move towards that White Tower. He just focuses his economy around that White Tower. He's gonna be in a good position still. I suppose. Are gonna be able to defend that sacred site. Nice, takes down the 2 archers there. Yeah, I think B just has to give up on the backside of his base and just focus forward. funnel towards the white tower at the back of his base, and then you just go forward and really play into that sacred site victory condition. Because don't forget, he captured those sacred sites before he started taking relics. We're already below 7 minutes. Right now, VortiX, he's pumping out crossbowmen. If B gets a military mass out that can deal with that, it's gonna be in a fine position. Oh, these knights are so tanky. They are so tanky. Even kiting down towards the ships, where he does have 2 attack ships.
Like, as soon as he catches a whiff of danger, it's like, okay, back in the boat, boys. We're done. And they can sit in the transport ship. The transport ship could just hang out in the water if it wants to. So as long as these knights don't end up going down, it could be pretty good. And it just means B, he's not ignoring what's going on back here, like you previously mentioned. He's got knights, he's got a king that's going around this way, so that's more stuff that he could be using to shell up his defenses for the sacred site, but he's not. He's worried on these knights.
Yeah, knights, they don't really care about the knights from B, though. All they want are villager kills. And they're finding them time and time again. VortiX, with the Auto Dragon, having a lot more economy numbers out compared to B as the English. As it just jumps inside the outpost in the transport ship as well.
I mean, this is just, it just goes to show the micro of VortiX right now. Like, all of those knights creating as much havoc as they possibly did was absolutely mind-bending. It looks like with VortiX still only on that 1 relic, however, he's going to have to get some outside gold. There's one safely all the way in the back of his base that's going to help him out. And did his farm transition, so he doesn't really feel the urgency of something like a 5-minute sacred site timer because he's still shoring up his economy.
Yeah, I think he really needs to like go all in now on the defense on land, on those 2 sacred sites. If he's just able to lock those 2 down, that is his win condition. That is his only win condition right now, because economically he is very far behind, and he should know because he lost water and he lost a ton of villagers. That is his only win condition right now, is keeping those 2 sacred sites.
Yeah, absolutely. And VortiX already has 18 crossbowmen, so all of those knights that he made are down. That king can get sniped down pretty easily. Ring a ding ding from the English town bell. It's looking like B might want to take this one, especially with the network helping him out a little bit. 1 or 2 crossbowmen end up going down, but there are way too many gilded crossbowmen for them to care about a couple horsemen.
It's a lot of them as well. Needs 2 shots to take one down. 2 volleys, that is. Knights coming in as well. The crossbows, they're peppering him. He's taking down the unit so quickly. Oh, there's still units on the sacred side. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. Military down to 23 for B. And sacred side has been decapped.
Yeah, and I mean, the decapping of that, we kind of talked about it. It feels like ball game at that point. But this is the beauty of playing against the wonderful civ that is the English. You have the advantage. You took down a lot of their units. You took down some good fights. But you can't push into them because there's a giant keep there.
Yeah. So he wants to go for another fight, but hiding, I mean, those crossbows, they take down the horsemen as well very, very quickly. It doesn't matter if it's a knight or it's a horseman. 1 volley is going to be all it takes to take him down.
Now, I mean, like, even though we're talking about, obviously, that was B's win condition with the sacred site. Now his army gets cleaned up again, and VortiX has to back up a little bit. If you're B, what do you do? What can you do now? What are your options?
Your options, realistically, is second TC, get the economy up, hope your opponent doesn't do anything for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Go for the age up. Get Imperial Age, and win with mass. That's not really realistic right now.
Yeah, no.
Just going down.
I mean, I feel like if you do want to do something like push an English base, you need a little bit of something like siege, right? If you get a couple trebuchets or something, you make the English come out. It's going to be a little difficult as well. More villagers are going down around that mill. Sacred sites are now getting captured, so it's going to be B who's going to be on the clock. And then he's got to push out. As an English player, man, you hate pushing out like that.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal situation. I think he was a little bit too focused on the back of his base. Like, you really need to go all in on that sacred site victory condition. Get some keeps up there as well. Maybe more outposts for sprinkle emplacements. Without those, like, VortiX can decide on how he wants to take the fight. And now we see consequences unfolding of that. So many horsemen in, the crossbows just not really doing any tangible damage on them. Another farm cluster also gets completely denied. There's just no way out.
I mean, even for how many horsemen B has, and he has a lot in the queue. You know, he's got 11 out there on the battlefield and starting to go into a little bit of longbowmen as well to kind of help against those crossbowmen. It just feels like there's not enough horsemen. Like, you try to do a surround, and those crossbowmen just have so much power, especially with the +2 range damage as well. Watch, one horseman, bye. It's all crossbowmen. If you can hit those down over and over again, there's nothing B could do about it. He can't mass.
Yeah. VortiX, he realized just what kind of advantage he has right now. He takes the fight, even with the aura. It's just not enough. Crossbows behind those, focusing onto the range units. There's no frontline remaining anymore. B down to below 10 military units now. VortiX is closer to 100 than he is to 50. And there it is. GG comes in. VortiX able to win the set in a clean 3-0 fashion, meaning that he is going to move on to the playoffs here.
Wow. I mean, this might not have been the series that a lot of people were expecting, but VortiX did a very good job of taking care of B in most and all of these games, winning in a 3-0 fashion. Look at those resources for this game number 3 as Order of the Dragon. I don't know, Crackety, I'm sure you're aware, but VortiX had water and B did not. So look at that food.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, VortiX just getting so much food there, and also having the Archon, having so many villagers making farms around there. His food economy was looking very, very good here in game number 1. B doing a great job getting the relics in. Unfortunate with the disconnect there in the end. I mean, it's an unfortunate end to a game. Number 1 there, definitely. I mean, it does come with a lot of side effects as well. Like, for example, you might be down, you might be losing momentum after that one, and those are the kind of things that happen. And we do really, really hope that we are getting a restore feature in the near future. Hopefully so, hopefully so. We can only hope. That would definitely be very much appreciated, because realistically, there's only one decision to be made in those situations. It's restore, and you go again.
Right.
And we just don't have that tool yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, right? I mean, game has been out since, I think, October of 2021, waiting for that one. But we do have the pause just in case mid-game you need to take a tinkle. So with that game 1, obviously, B had to forfeit that one. For game 2 and 3, I feel like, for the most part, VortiX just felt like the better player in the situation. He played Lakeside the way it was supposed to. He was able to take water, use it for fishing. He made the correct units. He stopped B's push. And in that second game, he was able to utilize that 1-1-1 composition to take down the deli and go for an excellent timing strike. So VortiX did such a good job this series regardless.
Yeah, definitely something that you can't take away from him. Definitely a deserved victory in those games. And that is going to conclude our 3rd set of the day. But we'll have more to come. First of all, we're going to be jumping into an interview with VortiX. And after that, we're going to be bringing you Annatant versus Beholder. So definitely stay tuned for those things, as we are going to be jumping in to the interview with VortiX. Congratulations, VortiX. How are you feeling after this one, as you are now moving into the playoffs?
Yeah, thank you so much. I am feeling a little bit relieved. I feel like last week I misplayed a little bit, but I think today I showed like my real level, so kind of happy with making it through.
Yeah. The first game was a little bit unfortunate, so we're not going to talk too much about that one. Game number 2, though, we're going to talk about those ones. You played it really, really well. How were you feeling about the timing? Like, did you realize that you're about to age up? Were you pressured into going for that push? Or was that like your ideal timing just with the amount of knights that you had there?
I was kind of expecting it because he was like just trying to raid all the time with the gases to the point where I thought something was going on. Also, he wasn't fighting for the sacred sites, so it's like either he's trying to age up or he just wants to lose the game, because you need to do something, right? Either get the sacred sites or go for an age up. Because he wasn't coming out, I thought he's going to try like a greedy age up. And then it comes to the point with French where you have like 20 knights. if you micro properly, I think you should beat any feudal army, assuming the game is even, right? So I thought it was a good call and a pretty straightforward fight.
Yeah, Knight's definitely one of the stronger units there in Feudal Age. How do you feel overall with the matchup, French against Delhi? Do you think like one civilization is inherently favored, or you think it's pretty even?
Before Pro Scout meta, I think Delhi was favored for sure. Right now, I actually don't know. I think it's kind of even. It's kind of weird, right? It depends a lot on if you manage to secure deers early on or not, because he will have a lot of gases. So if he moves around in a clever way and he denies a lot, I think you can fall behind really easily as French. But he let me get a few deers from both of the corners, I think. And I think that's the main thing. I think overall it's kind of even. In this map, actually, it's hard because all the deer are forward, so it's really hard to secure a lot after the first pack. So maybe a little bit Delhi favored, but not like a big difference.
Mm. All right, looking ahead of what's coming up in the tournament, how do you feel about your next opponent? Because it looks like your next opponent in the playoffs, you're going to start off against Marine Lord.
Yeah, it's an easy one. He's
He's
really
lost
not
2 games
in good
against
shape
Valtium,
right now.
right? Like, how hard could it
Yeah,
be?
yeah. Nah, I think it's gonna be easy for me. I think with what I've seen in the group stage and how I played today, I think it's easy win for me. Yeah. Obviously, it's Marine Lord. It's always gonna be hard, right? He's really good, so we'll see what I can do.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. All right. Thank you so much for being here with us in the interview, VortiX. Congratulations once again for winning, and we're going to see
Thank
you
you.
in the playoffs. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you.